Well, hello, YouTube friends and family. It's Frank here yet again with another sort of glorious video. Only this time, this video is going to be just a little bit different, guys. I may or I may not be adding some home footage to this particular video. Haven't decided yet. But I was sitting here this morning watching television and had been thinking about some things in regards to purchasing here in the villages. And this thought kind of came to me a little bit more when Susan and I have been thinking about selling this house and buying another one. And it's an idea that we have kind of kicked around and been exploring. We just haven't landed on the certainties of it yet. However, I got to thinking about people who are wherever they're at and who are doing just like what we did, sitting and scrolling on YouTube and kind of sitting around thinking about, well, where do we want to retire to, right? We were all there at one particular time. Some of us heard about the villages. Some of us hadn't, we were told by somebody, or it just kind of just showed up on a feed because of the search menu that you're doing. Well, for us, we saw the villages as, like a lot of people, we were searching around in Florida, and this was one of the areas that came up. And this was 6-7 years ago, I guess. And so we had been contemplating, and we made our choice to be here, and we love it here. We love Florida. We really haven't looked back. But it got me thinking about those who are still out there thinking about moving here, right? Whether they should or shouldn't. And those kinds of questions are very personable to you, as to what your goals are and what you want out of your retirement and, things of that nature. But what I wanted to talk a little bit about, and I'm going to try to keep this video short, is that there's people out there, based on comments and things that I read, things that people have told me through my videos or just meeting people, that, some folks weren't aware of all the expenses living in the villages, Florida. And so, they get online and they're looking at houses and they're looking at the prices and what's available. They're looking at brand new homes. They're looking at pre-owned homes, what village they want to be in, all that kind of stuff. But in the beginning, and I can't remember about us, but in the beginning, we were looking at the price of the homes, and then we later learned that there is a bond associated to these houses. And I'll get to that in a minute. So if there's anybody out there and you're just kind of looking around at houses and, and you're looking at pricing and stuff, there are other things to consider other than just the price of the home. And stay tuned for that. Welcome back. So what I was saying is, for people out there who are looking to buy, you can get out here and get on their website, and there's all kinds of ways of searching their homes here in the villages. And I mentioned the bond. Now, in our personal search, we were looking in the village of Wellpoint and looking at a particular area, at particular home sites, and it came to our attention that the bonds for where we were thinking about were like $43,000, okay? And I already knew that the bonds were anywhere between 30 to 50,000, and based on things that I've heard other people say. So, but when it came to our search and what we're looking at and looking at the areas and the numbers and everything that was assigned to it, that location, those homes were 43,000, and there were some others at 46,000 bucks. So if you, for example, if you're looking at a home that's going to be $350,000, well, you're going to have to add in probably 46,000 bucks in addition to that home. Now, that bond is a separate loan of sorts, and I think there's an interest rate of around 5%. At least that's what I've heard. So, really don't quote me on that, but I've heard that number. And so, what is the bond? So what that means is all the dirt, all the piping, the irrigation system, the piping for the reclaimed water, retention ponds probably, all the sewer lines and everything that is needed prior to building houses on it and creating a neighborhood. That is all of the infrastructure that the developer has had to do to build houses on it. And so each house pays their fair share of that infrastructure cost. That's basically it in a nutshell. So the way that works is each house has that bond, and if you're paying the house in cash, you're good to go. I mean, so if you do the math, if your house had a $43,000 bond to it, and you either can pay it annually or you can pay it monthly. I would suggest paying it monthly. You pay that $43,000 as an example, divided by 12 is like $250 a month. Now, if you stay there 5 years and you sell the house, the new homeowner comes in and they continue to pay on that bond until that $43,000 is met. People ask, well, should I pay off the bond when I move here? Should I do this or that? Unless you're going to be here 30 years, that's your forever home and you don't plan on going anywhere, that's up to you. Now, if you buy a pre owned house, a lot of those houses could have bonds that are already paid off, and that's a bonus, and a benefit to buying a pre owned older home. So that's just something to think about if you're thinking about buying here. If you're a person who needs to get a mortgage and you're a little bit more on a budget setup, and so you're looking at the house, you've got a mortgage payment, you may have to pay escrow, which is going to be your taxes and your homeowner's insurance and those sorts of things. So that's added to your mortgage payment. And then you're going to be paying that bond. It'll be on a little separate itemized area of where it shows you the amount per month that you're paying towards that bond. And so if your house payment could have been $1,200, for example, they're going to add that $258. So now you're at 1550 or something. And these are hypothetical numbers, so you can see how it adds up. And not only that, not only are you going to be buying the house and paying on a bond for the newer homes, or any house that doesn't have the bond paid off, right? Everybody here who is a villager gets billed an amenities bill. That amenities fee is $195, and that is what some places will call an HOA, but they don't call that it. They don't call it that here. So, what does that entitle you to? You can swim in all adult and neighborhood pools. The adult and neighborhood pools are for people who are 30 years and above. You can use the family pools, that's for everybody, children, grandchildren, all that's the whole family. You can go and you can use the rec centers, all the pools, dog parks, and other amenities that are assigned to that 195 a month. Uh, Me, I would use it. If you're the type of person that knows, hey, I got to pay for this, use your amenities. You're paying for it, and you're still going to pay for it even if you don't use it. So I think it's best to get your money's worth out of it at least, right? So there are a lot of costs that are associated to being a homeowner here in the villages as to living somewhere else outside of the bubble, right? Um, so I hope this, a little bit of information helps people up there, wherever you're at, wherever you're watching this video from, and you're thinking about being here. This is a great place to be at. We love Florida. We love the villages here. It has a lot to offer. So there's a lot of value, in what you're paying for. It's just to make people aware of these things and to helping your decision as to whether you should buy a new house, which, by the way, is cheaper than a pre-owned home. That's another thing to think about. So you're buying a home, it comes with a bond, you're going to be paying your amenities fee on top of your utilities, which could be all electric and gas, and water. You're going to be paying for potable water that you use for showering and drinking, and then you've got irrigation water. That irrigation water is reclaimed water that shows up into the ponds, and those ponds water your yards and things like that. That's kind of how it works, and that's why you're paying a lot for the infrastructure for how the developer designs these neighborhoods, and they do quite an awesome job. Now, I'm not saying everything is 100% perfect because it's not, but it's pretty daggone good. I've lived in many areas, and this has just been one of the best places that we've lived in thus far. And most of the people here are great. You get some weeds in the garden, but most of the time, most people are rather friendly here as far as, the people here within the villages. So, with that being said, if you're thinking about the house, it's the cost of the house. You got a bond that could vary, depending on what type of house you get and how many houses are in that village. You have an amenities fee, about $195, and things like that. So, which leads me to another thought. If you are thinking about moving to the village of Well Point, the village of Oak Hollow or Hollow Oak, I can't remember which way it goes, and getting closer to, the village of LaGrange, getting closer to the brand new Eastport Town Square, the prices of the homes could potentially go up, and your bonds could possibly go up. I'm not certain of that. It may be the same no matter where you buy around there. You got the village of Edenfield that's coming up, and then there's another one just south of that. So there's a lot of building going on, and as a matter of fact, based on information, the villages is going to be building houses for the next 20, 25 years. So don't feel that you have to be desperate to buy a house in here because there's no inventory. There's plenty of houses. There's a lot more coming, and people come and people go. Um, but what I wanted to mention, like if you're buying a house along Marsh Bend Trail, if anybody has a map there, the village of Well Point and down south into Oak Hollow, or are you coming down to LaGrange and you're running along Marsh Bend Trail, right across the street from that is the Coleman Federal Prison. It's hidden behind a bunch of trees. It's not like you see it really. You can see a couple of the watchtowers, but basically the whole facility is covered by a lot of foresty trees, and so there's a good barrier. I don't think it's really a problem. They've had a couple of escapes, which they were recaptured. They have had some media named higher profile inmates there before. They still currently do. I'm not certain. But other than that, I don't think it poses any problem. Just some people who know about that, they just get a little uncomfortable thinking about that. And then right there within the neighborhood area, there's a big old power grid. You know how you got all that electrical stuff sticking up in the air and everything, and you're going to see it. So, and they're going to have houses. There's a wall that runs along and it borders that. So you're going to have housing that's going to be backed up to that wall, and you're going to be able to step out of your lanai and see this giant, all this electrical stuff. You'll probably hear it too, I would imagine. You know how current's running through stuff. I don't know, but that's just what I think. So, do your homework, do your research about stuff. I have a couple of videos where I show this power grid, how it's adjacent to the neighborhoods, and I'm probably going to show it again here in the future really soon, so that way people out there can get a perspective of how the houses are going to be set up and how close you are to this thing. I'm sure there are people out there who really don't care about that sort of stuff, and then there's those who do. So it's just, to each their own, different strokes for different folks, right? But I'm only saying all this because, people buy a house and then they complain about this thing or that thing, and they start belly aching about things that are in the area or they're not in the area. There's no shopping, there's no grocery stores, there's no restaurants, there isn't this, the noise is too loud. People complain about, the turnpike is too loud, or the music is too loud at the squares or at Sawgrass Grove. On and on, people have made complaints about it. But people bought these expensive houses in areas where they knew that these areas are coming up. They knew there was going to be live music. They knew there were going to be people there. They knew there's a town square there. And yet you still bought the house. Nobody forced you to buy there or buy that house in that area, but you're going to complain because you can hear the music. I just don't understand that. So before you buy and start griping about certain things, you got to do your homework and make sure that you are buying where you want to be. Now, with that being said, people are already talking about, in the newer areas, there's no grocery store and this and that. Well, all of these things are coming up. Eastport is about to open up soon. I mean, I know it might be some months away yet, but it's getting close. The Middleton neighborhood, which is the family neighborhood, they have a small shopping area, like a mini square of their own right there, where they got restaurants and shops too going up there. There are grocery stores that are on the dock, if you will, on the docket to build supermarkets in those areas. Restaurants are coming. So all this development is coming. Once the neighborhoods get established and people are living there, then they show up. It's not they show up first and then you build a neighborhood around it. It doesn't work like that. So, but even if you buy a house in Water's Edge or Shady Brook or whatever, you're still in pretty close proximity to a Publix in a couple different directions. So it's not like you're stuck out in the middle of nowhere and there's nothing around you, because there is. Uh, so all you have to do if you buy in a neighborhood where it's kind of scarce, just be patient. All of these things are coming. It's just going to take a little bit of time. So, and I'm only ranting on about it because I just want people to be aware of that, and to, just do some homework, do your due diligence, and just research your area and make sure that you are happy with the area that you are buying in. So I just want everybody to kind of think about these sorts of things, and this is just for information. I just like for people to think about these things, and a lot of what I'm saying are for potential villagers, people who are looking to buy here, and just letting them know this isn't for any of us who are already here. We know all this stuff. It's for people out there who are thinking about it, who are looking into it, and who may not be aware of stuff. And it's just some food for thought. So when you're doing your research and you're looking for that house, that price, just be aware that there are bonds of what they're going to be priced at approximately, and what's kind of going on. And, there's things coming in the future too, and that's just so you're not blindsided by not knowing about things. All right, guys. I know this video has gone on long enough, and it's just a little something to think about. And then there's where people ask you, well, what's your electric bill? Ours probably runs about $80 to $110. You're talking the dog days of summer. July, August, September could be pretty brutal. These homes are well insulated. Ours does great. As long as you keep your filters clean and all that kind of stuff, you'll do fine. At least we have. And so, with that being said, the Villages is a great place. This is to help you out a little bit. And if you're okay with any of those things and it's not a bother to you, it's not a problem for you, then hey, there are plenty of houses to buy. Look into a house, get a hold of the Villages sales team, and they'll hook you up with some people who could further inform you with more specific details and kind of narrow it down a little tighter. All right, guys, so I'm going to leave you with that. And if you would, please subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate that. Click the like button below. It'll help me out a lot. It just gets the algorithms going so more people can see the video, from wherever they're at in YouTube land. And if you would, you could feel free to leave a comment, educate me. I'm not always right about stuff. I just ask that you be kind, and I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next glorious video.